Hello everyone, welcome to my universe. So, I had forgotten that today I called the video my Nemesis Returns because today I plan to do arms. I had actually completely forgotten about that, so I had a small laugh when I got started today. You know, it's nice to have things like that sometimes. But yes, today I plan to do the arms. There's actually nothing in particular I want to fix. I still think something feels a little bit off about her head. but I couldn't tell you what, so I'm just gonna keep going, and if something feels off about her head the entire time until I finish it, well, you know, so be it. I'll do better in the next one. Sometimes it's like that. But I just figured I'd start off today, kinda refining the hair here. I figured it was either gonna be this or like her little wrist ribbon thing, but I think the wrist ribbon looks fine on the outside, so I was like, you know what? I feel like finishing her hair. Let's do it. Because it's been sitting there for a while, and then once I get this part done, I can do hair highlights and stuff. Maybe it'll make her head look better. Who knows? I actually kind of doubt it, but you know what? It's okay. I actually have been trying to think more like that lately, of just, something's wrong, I don't know what it is, it's driving me slightly crazy. I do try to fix it when I can, but at this point I'm just out of ideas. I legitimately don't know what's wrong. So, I'm just gonna deal with it, and I will practice some head construction in the next picture I do. And you know, I think that's a decent way to be. Let's see. I think I kind of want a lot of this to just go dark. And actually, I think a little bit of her hair should be showing through the spoon here. So I'm actually gonna do that, but I'll leave it black. I'll just let some hair kind of come through this gap. Yeah, I think that'll look nice. Oh yeah, and yesterday I did something kind of exciting. I saw Rooney post a picture of this neat dress. And she said she liked it a lot. She says, I need this in my life. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to draw it. And while I've been able to draw things in an hour or two before, they're generally much simpler. You know, silhouette stuff, some of the stuff that I draw for Inktober. But this time I was able to get the entire outfit design down, so that was nice. It felt pretty good being able to actually respond to something that happened in real time. I didn't really like the picture, but I do think I learned quite a bit from it. Like, for example, the biggest thing for me was I found a way to draw the hair very quickly in a way that didn't make me hate it. Like, that's a big deal. The main thing stopping me from liking the image overall was just that I didn't feel like I captured the dress very well. And considering that I set out to draw that dress, it made me a little bit sad. I didn't feel like I captured just how pretty some of the sheer train looked, and I couldn't draw the kind of shoes I wanted because I don't know how to draw feet. Stuff like that. I kind of had to fake a lot of it. But I thought her face looked pretty good. So, it's a start. It is. And probably the biggest disappointment for me was that it still took me 3 hours to do. It feels wrong for something that took 3 hours to be called a doodle, but 3 hours is like lightning fast for me. It was so hard. I'd like to be able to get that down to, you know, like 10 minutes. That'd be great if I could just do, you know, 10-minute doodles. And not have the perfectionism swirling around in my brain just being like, oh my god, it looks so bad. So, I'll get there. I took the first step yesterday, and that is kind of exciting for me, and the best part is now I have a bit of extra time to work on the other illustration that I had planned for this week. I was planning on posting a different one, probably today, actually, is when I'd want to have it finished, and, you know, I'm kind of glad that I'm going to have a few extra days to do this. I think I can make it look a lot better with some extra time. So maybe what I'll end up doing is I start one early in the week, and I let myself be a little bit ambitious with it. And if I just find myself unable to finish it, or if I think I could really benefit from some more time, I'll do a quick one. I'll do one where I take 3 hours and just put down what I can. So that sounds very interesting to me. Unfortunately, it still offends my sensibilities to say this, but it's the truth, and I shouldn't run from it. Is that I know that with my desire for further speed, it is, in reality, a desire to draw less things and still have a good picture. And I should not run from that reality. I have to be less precise, less particular. I can't just spend a bunch of time messing around with hair like this if I want to be able to go fast. And that's just how it is. I don't think it's a terrible thing. And another thing I'd like to be able to do is just I have the references over here, but I'd like to be able to draw silly things like this. I think this is cute. And I can tell she probably drew it in about 2 minutes. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a meme. It's not a serious picture. Like, it's fine for art to be shitpost sometimes. I know this to be true, but my brain does not seem convinced. So I'm gonna have to persuade it. And I think I know exactly what I want to do for this year. Just start kind of persuading. We'll see when I start doing it. I have one picture in mind. I like to draw a picture for my husband for Valentine's Day every year involving a kitten and a snake. And I think I'm just gonna make them cute little shitpost animals. It'll be fantastic. And I think he'll like it. So, you know, this time next month, I'm gonna have that, and, you know, we'll see what I do with it. We'll see if I like it, or if I want to iterate on it further. But I know my husband, and I know that he will appreciate the experimentation. And the story. Alright, so I think I've done all I want with the hair on this side. I'm just gonna kind of touch up some things. I might add a couple more strands. Maybe this guy should be a little longer. I'm just trying to make sure things don't get too samey. I do want to make sure it looks nice and organic. A little bit random. But yeah, this is where some of the ideas behind the things I am currently painting are coming from. It feels so weird to see my Rooney Doodle get as many likes on Twitter. You know, probably even more than average for me. Even though I didn't work very hard on it. That's not true. I worked harder than the name Doodle suggests, just because doodling is scary for me still. It is. So I was fighting my instincts the whole time, and at some point I knew I just had to stop. Otherwise I would have spent, you know, an hour trying to get the feet right, for example, so I could draw the shoe that was in my head, when in reality I just kinda hit it. I just made the bottom area pretty dark, so you barely even see anything I did with them anyway. Where the heck did her sleeve go? There it is. Okay. It was in the way. But I gotta say, it actually felt pretty good to be able to respond to something in real time. And not say, hey, you posted this a month ago, and I finally drew the picture. Yay? Because, you know, that's kind of how it's always been for me. It's a little sad, and anytime that I have a specific date planned, I basically have to know a month in advance in order to do anything. That's part of what made National Novel Writing Month in November so hard for me. Because then I couldn't start on my Christmas gifts in November. And, then I got sick in December. So I wasn't able to finish both of them. It was very sad. I think that's the biggest downside to my approach here, because, you know, when you use the sketchy lines, you can get something that looks pretty alright pretty fast if you get good at controlling them. But with my just random blobs of color, I think it's pretty hard to see what I'm doing until I refine things quite a bit. And that does make things hard sometimes. This is incidentally one of the many reasons I've been afraid of taking commissions. Just like, I'm slow. Will I even get this done in time? I am not good at telling how long it's going to take me to do something, and I just... Also, I had been burned by bots trying to scam me so many times that while I was trying, the only people that would ever contact me were bots, and that just ate away at my mental health so bad that I just decided to stop. Maybe I will again someday. We'll see. I'll see how I feel about the workload and my own skills as I continue to post more shorts. Oh yeah, and with the Rooney Doodle, that does mean that there is another short up on the channel, if you are interested in kind of how that came together. It was very scribbly. I've been debating what I want to do for the next few pictures. I think I have some good ideas. And I think I want to go a little bit harder into deliberately studying things. Just being very deliberate in what I choose and actually breaking out a bunch of references. And trying to figure out how to construct things better or handle something stylistically better. And perhaps even stop trying to do all the styles and maybe really dig into a couple. I'm not sure. But, been on my mind? I just feel like my mind has been very, very noisy lately. That's kind of the way to put it. I've been trying to read some things and maybe even write some things down and all that. Sometimes I struggle to focus my mind hard enough to actually do too much. It just kind of starts wandering all over the place. It's like it sees a little butterfly and wants to go catch it, just constantly. And this is actually pretty unusual for me. So, normally, I don't have that much trouble focusing on tasks while I'm doing them. So I've been mildly concerned. But it's fine. I'm pretty sure I can get it back. I just gotta wrangle my brain. And I'm not afraid to do that. I'm not afraid to tell it what to do. So I think I just gotta make it a little bit more bored. I think that's a good way to put it. After finishing the Tao Te Ching, I've been... Oh god, I can't remember his name now. Let me make sure I have the right name here. Otherwise no one will have an idea what I'm talking about. Okay, I do. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Mind part there, you know, speaking of my brain not necessarily doing what I want it to do. But, yeah, I've been reading some stuff by him lately. I found a copy of his complete works on the internet, and apparently it's public domain, which is pretty sweet. So, I've been reading through that. And it's been pretty interesting, but I have been finding myself somewhat struggling to recall a lot of what I've read. So, that's one of the many things that makes me think I just need to wrangle my brain a little bit harder. I might start from the beginning. Or maybe I won't. But right now, I'm kind of reading the section on his definitions of what the intellect is. Doing my best to remember everything that I've read. And there are some interesting thoughts in there. So I might go back and reread it all with hopefully a bit more focus. I think part of it is that I tried to read this while I was watching my kids, and they often have their own TV stuff going on in the background, and it's very loud. And it does make it a little bit hard to focus. It's bizarre, though, because I used to be able to study in loud places with no problem. I could just tune it out. But thinking about it, I think it is literally because I could just tune it out. Like, it had no relevance to me. I could basically just astral project and not exist in this plane anymore. It was pretty good, but I can't do that when I'm watching my kids. Because if they need something and I don't hear them because I am just not here, I am not present, then that's kind of a problem. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe that's part of why I'm having trouble. I did start reading it during breakfast before they get up, because I get up before they do. And I am generally finished with breakfast by the time they get up. And I do think that makes things a lot easier. I kind of get to eat in peace. And I've had a bit of an easier time reading since then. So, you know, it's, I got some choices to make. And, well, let's be real. The kids are going to win out. I'm not going to try to astral project when I'm watching them. That just does not seem like a good idea. I have done it a few times. Typically when my husband is awake. And I am just dead to the world. So, you know, that's probably exactly what's happening. I do think my brain is kind of noisy, though. I've got too much going on in there. You know, a lot of people consider that a good thing, but I really don't. I actually do think it is a problem to have too much going on to your head. Like, you don't want to be no thoughts, head empty. You do want the thoughts going on in there. But if it's too noisy, if it's too loud, too much thoughts going on, you can't actually think. It just bounces around between subjects and... yeah, you get the multitasking debuff, and it's kind of terrible. Because, you know, it's not actually physically possible for humans to multitask. It's not. It's, what we call multitasking is the ability to, switch from one task to another very fast. So if you got too much going on in the brain, then it's just not really possible to think because your mind will be bouncing around between all these different ideas and nothing will actually happen. I've been feeling this in some of my creative stuff too, in that I want to stream, I want to draw stuff, and I want to make a game. I'm working on that. I'm trying to write a comic, and there's just a lot going on. And oh, hello there, Levin. Welcome back. So there's just too much going on in there right now, and I gotta kind of slow it down and make it actually work for me again. I want shading here, but I'm not quite sure how to get it there. Let's see. How do these strands overlap? Generally a good idea, yes. But not always completely possible. Like, I don't want to drop any of the things that I am working on at the moment. But I just need to figure out how to compartmentalize them in my mind so they stop taking up space with everything else. Anywho. Let's see, so how's this turning here? Yeah, I definitely want something here, but I don't know how to get it there. Because I don't picture it being a clump like this side. I guess this will work. Well, once I get the line good. Make it bigger, actually. I'll just press more lightly. Someday I'll get it straight. There we go. That's good. That one's okay. And I'll just do something simple like that. That's probably fine. Yeah, I think so. I think that's fine. Maybe you could use a little bit of texture, but honestly, I think it's okay. Alright. Well, now that I've messed around with her hair a bit, I think it is time to start tackling the Nemesis and get her arms done. Alright, what was I doing? Let's see, where is that ribbon? It's here somewhere. There you are. Yeah, I actually have this mostly drawn. I guess I'll go ahead and get the ribbons now. And I actually think that they're looking all right. I think they're basically in the right spot. So I think I can just finish them off now. Sounds good to me. Okay, which side of the ribbon are we seeing? We're definitely seeing this side and this side. So I will put the big ribbon opening up here. I don't mind leaving the curves in for a little bit. I'll get rid of them as it suits me. After all, this style demands that everything be straight. Oh man, with me rambling about doing a bunch of things, I just remember that I still also kind of want to write some art tutorials at some point. I haven't really started collecting my thoughts there. Not in any sensible way. Life is hard, man. There's too many things to do. Not enough time to do it. Not enough parallel processing in my brain to handle it. I will forever be irritated by human limitation. Oh well, it is what it is. I gotta kind of accept the world for what it is, and I can't pretend like I can do more than I can. So, it's alright, I'll find a way to navigate that. Try to get as many of the things that I want to do done as possible. No, this should be on the other side. The big shadow needs to be on the other side, yes. Gotta be careful when drawing while streaming, I swear. Makes me even more absent-minded than usual. There we go. Let's see here. How do I want to handle my big loops there? Because I think that's the next thing I gotta figure out. How are they sitting? I think I can just do this. I do want to keep a thin red spot up there. Just a little guy. Let's see, this must be straight, so it's gonna go a little further back. Let's go ahead and lock the layer for a second here, so I can get that little top part in. We'll send this into the side a bit. And I think that will do what I want, in theory. In theory. Okay, yeah. That's doing what I want, and then I'll just put a little tiny black outline around the edge. Just a tiny little guy. Although, you know what? No, that's actually not necessary, because there's going to be a shadow from this onto the frill below it, so I'll just handle the black line there. Okay. Yes, that is fine. In that case, this part will stay red. At least for the time being. Alright, let's straighten out everything else then. I'll get the bottom first, just because it's easier. Less stuff going on there. Give my brain some time to catch up. I've had a theory about why I've been feeling more distracted by literally everything lately, and I actually do think it is related to streaming and actually having a chat. Like, when I was streaming before, or until relatively recently, I guess I should say, I basically didn't have a chat. I was generally streaming to 0 viewers. So I didn't have to pay as much attention to it, but now I'm kind of having to pay attention to it. And so my brain's been adapting to having to look at several things at once. And I would not be surprised if these things were related. So trying to stream, I think, is making my brain having to... It's forcing it to learn a new skill, basically. And have a new way of existing. Because I admit, I'm having an easier time following chat than I used to, but it's having side effects elsewhere. Where now if I'm not focusing on a couple of things, it's actually kind of hard. And depending on what that is, it can actually be pretty hard to do. Like, reading a philosophy book, pretty hard to do while trying to think about something else. Kind of defeats the purpose. So... And then when it comes to memory, I think some of these things just basically aren't being stored properly. I'm not sure if that's related to the distractibility, though, or if the distractibility is just a side effect of that. It's hard to know. I'd like to be a little bit less distracted, though. Kind of miss being able to focus on things. I do think the me of like 10 minutes ago had a point about not being able to astral project while watching Tiny Humans, though. And I think I'm pretty okay with that. Kind of funny that thinking about things can make you realize, hey, maybe nothing is actually wrong. I've heard a theory about artists, specifically ones that can draw, visual artists. I think it's more common there, but I'm not entirely sure if it applies to others or not. But because we can just make these entire little worlds from nothing, sometimes we can think that we can do things in real life the same way and just kind of make it happen. And this is not always true. Unfortunately, I do not actually have reality warping powers. Like, I think it'd be fantastic if I did. I'd really like that. That'd be awesome. But unfortunately, I must contend with the limits of reality. It's very unfortunate. Reality's no fun. Constantly going, no fun allowed. I can't remember the study I saw on that, but of just being able to get frustrated that certain things aren't doing things, and I've always been kind of impatient and prone to just forcing my way through things, I guess. I am the type of person that when I encounter a problem, like if I encountered a brick wall and I was just having a hard time getting through it, you know, the metaphorical brick wall here, rather than perhaps going around and looking for a door, or maybe checking back later, or trying to find a wrecking ball or something, I might just try to plow through it with my nose. And then be surprised when it doesn't work very well. To an extent, I think it's a pretty okay way to be, of just that level of determination. But I think that there comes a time where it just gets unhealthy. And I just have to, you know, contend with reality being what it is. Instead of trying to bend it to my whims. Alright, let's render some frill. Look, sometimes the reason that I talk about things like this is because I do have to remind myself of things that I should know to be true. It is what it is. Like I said, I don't think all of it is such a terrible way to live. But there are limits. And I think I can take some of the areas that are maybe a little bit suboptimal and try to improve them. I think that's what self-improvement is all about. It just sometimes it's a little bit less visible than art improvement because, like, I can look at my art from 10 years ago and be like, yeah, I draw way better than that now, and it's super easy. But sometimes it's a little harder to look at myself from the me of 10 years ago because my brain kind of lies to me, you know? And does not really give me an accurate picture of what I was like 10 years ago. So sometimes those things can be hard to quantify, and it's a little unfortunate. Let's see, I think I just want all of that black, actually. Yeah, I think the fold there looks pretty good, so I'll do that. And then probably another one there, I guess. No. This looks better. So I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm not gonna worry about it. I think it looks good. The main thing here is that a lot of the frills are just very curved. Which, you know, makes sense for frills, but it doesn't matter if it makes sense or not. Because it is forbidden. There are no curves allowed in this style. None whatsoever. Okay. There we go. Just, gonna slowly get across here. But I think it's funny that half of this talk just spawned from me thinking about, doodling. And the picture of, Rooney Ruse that I drew yesterday. Very quickly by my standards. I do want to be able to go fast. Someday I'll figure it out, man. And then there are going to be so many dumb art memes on Twitter. You're not going to believe it. It's got to be great. I really do look forward to that day. But, you know, every time I think about these things, I do feel like my skills grow, so. That's why I say, maybe I can believe in myself a little bit. At least a little. I have no idea what's going on here, but I can pretend. I could probably figure it out well enough that it'll do what it needs to do here. Yeah, maybe I should just put this entire one in black. Yes, no, perhaps. Yeah, I think it's fine, especially if I do it over here too. Yeah, I can work with that. Alrighty. Oh yeah, and then I need to make sure I have proper shadows underneath here. Just so that I make sure to have a black line going around the ribbon. Talked about that while I was drawing the ribbon itself. I do feel various things progressing, though. Sometimes it's not quite fast enough for my taste, but that's fine. My brain can deal with it. But today was the first day that I started writing, and I didn't have to just kind of stare at the screen for 20 minutes before I could get started. I was able to just look at the screen, saw where I left off yesterday, and get started. I was still pretty slow. I'm pretty sure that I only ended up writing like a page and a half or so. And considering that I'm writing this in largely script format, that's maybe a little more than it sounds like. But not that much, since it kind of effectively ends up double-spaced. But, you know, it's alright. I'll take it. I will. Feels pretty good, actually. Because I've got a lot of bad feelings regarding writing within me still. And I've been kind of working them all out. And so I've been kind of having to force myself to get started. But it wasn't really necessary today. Today, it was just that, well, for one, I wrote like half a scene and then I realized, you know what, I don't think I want this to happen here. And I think I'd prefer to have this happen a little bit later. So I had to delete it. I know exactly where I'm gonna put it though, so it's gonna be great once I put it back there. So I should have an easier time once I get there. But so I did have to delete a bunch of words, and that's been extremely normal. I don't yet quite have a good feel for a lot of things yet, so I often write a scene or part of a scene and realize it doesn't feel quite right, whether it's because it doesn't belong there or, you know, whatever reason might exist. The one that I keep running into is I have one character, and when I write characters, I tend to get really, really in character. So she has a habit of kind of having the reality warping powers that she shouldn't have. And trying to make life more convenient for her and convincing me that yes, this is how things should be. When no. Not at all. So I'm having to kind of separate myself from my characters a little bit, because otherwise they might do things that are in character, but they're not necessarily good for the story, and yeah, makes their life a little bit too easy. And you just can't have that when you're running. You gotta make things hard for your characters. It's required. It'll add more drama. And so partway through today, I realized, you know, this one character here, she's sounding a little bit too reasonable. I was like, oh, yeah, I did it again. But I'm starting to recognize it, so that's nice. But the thing that made me happy was just that I was able to get started pretty quickly. Because that is new. And I don't mind having to rewrite scenes a few times if they don't feel right. Honestly, I'm also glad that I kind of have sufficient intuition to know that something doesn't feel right, and I can kind of analyze it that way. So I'll keep working on it. I really want that story to happen. And the good news is that, you know, we were just talking about artists having, or feeling like they can warp reality if they just try hard enough. You know, this is one area where I kind of can. Only kind. So I can insist that I sit down and type things periodically and all that, and maybe I can't, like, technically make a story happen, but I can absolutely put myself in situations that will make it more likely to happen. So that's all I'm doing. I actually don't think just about anything really is guaranteed. All you can really do is try to set up the circumstances as best you can. So I say, you know, when it comes down to it, our lives are dictated by the RNG, but sometimes we can rig it in our favor. At least try to. Amp up the probability for what you want. Okay, let's get these little lines around here. These ones are super thin. I'll also kind of straighten out the little spots there, because some of them are still pretty round. Oh, these little curved lines. Can't have that at all. Honestly, with my talking about creativity today, I can't tell if it's depressing or not. Oh, look, I've been having a little bit of a hard time with it all lately. I think I've said before, I'm on a little bit of an art slump. It's one of those things where it just kind of... It is what it is. It's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, it sounds pretty terrible, but it comes with the distinct upside. Where, how do I describe it? So, basically, I think that art, skill, and feeling about it kind of oscillates between two positions. And that's, yes, everything is great, everything is fantastic, and everything is working for me, everything is going exactly as I want it. And that always feels super good. It really does. It feels great. What is... I have no idea. There's like something right there and I can't tell what it is. The part of the hand? Oh, it is. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now I can turn everything back on. What was I saying? Yeah, I think it oscillates between two positions. And one of them is when everything is kind of going your way, you like everything you draw, and everything just looks good, and it feels like you can do anything, and it feels fantastic. That would be the art high. And then after a while, your ability to spot mistakes catches up with you. And suddenly you start seeing problems that you never did before. And you wonder why you ever thought this looked good, and stuff like that. And that is the art low. That's when everything feels bad. You hate everything. And nothing looks good no matter how hard you try. Because you just keep spotting all these things that you never did before, and the things that used to work don't anymore, and things like that. And it feels really bad. But that's why I say that there's a particular upside to all this, because once you're able to spot those issues, and once your brain kind of realizes that it has to learn new techniques in order to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish now, that's when your art gets better. That's when you start getting good. So sometimes I feel a little down that I don't like anything that I do, or if I do, it's kind of fleeting, and then I look at it, you know, like 20 minutes later, and I'm just like, wait, why did I think this was good again? And that kind of thing will be tolerable, because at some point, I'll just figure out what to do, and it'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of like this. And I'll find something that I like again. And then I'll keep doing that. So I just see myself in a stage where I'm probably going to experience some amount of artistic growth. And you know what? When I think of it like that, it doesn't feel as bad. I do think that a lot of whether or not something feels bad or not does come down to perception. As feelings are tricky and wily and don't actually care about reality very much. Brains are pretty dumb. And they make you think weird things sometimes. And they might look at just random situations and put little ideas in your head that may or may not be true. Okay, this is a long one. I'm not even going to attempt to make this straight. I'm just going to use the line tool. Okay, so right about there. Alright, and now I do think I need her body back. And her head, because her shoulders feel a little bit off to me. So this is when I gotta figure something out. Anyway, what was I saying before? Oh yeah, about perception and things feeling bad. I do think it's entirely possible. Not two people looking at the exact same thing and having the exact same thing happen can respond to it very differently. The example that I hear often is like a test at school. Both people get B's. One is like, phew, or heck yeah, and they're very excited. And another might be very upset because he wanted an A, whereas the first one was afraid that he might fail or something. And these kinds of things are common. So even though it was the same result, very, very different reactions. So I do think such things are important to keep in mind about art as well. Because I've looked at some of the drawings that I did while I was in a state of I just hate everything I do, or when I'm drawing on stream, of just not really liking a thing, and then I look at it later and just like, you know, I don't think it's actually that bad. I have lots of things like that. And then I go look at some of the pictures that I really, really liked 5 years ago, and I'm just like, huh. You know, looking at it, I don't actually think it's very good. And that's because I can spot problems now that I couldn't back then. So, looking at things in terms of, yeah, I'm probably in a state where I'm going to start getting better at drawing some stuff. I think it's both true, and it does make everything a little bit easier to deal with. So, you know, if you ever find yourself in a slump, I'm pretty sure this is all that's happening. You're just about to get good. So, you know, could be worse. Don't worry about it. Or, you know, maybe worry about it a little bit, but you probably haven't actually gotten worse. You're just seeing things now. Oh yeah, and with writing, oh my god, am I so glad that I have been drawing for long enough, and that I actually did manage to get, you know, pretty okay at it. Because I can look at what I'm doing there and some of the feelings that I'm feeling, and remember, you know what? Like 10 years ago, I felt the same way about drawing, and that's why I didn't draw as much. I'm also feeling it in regards to streaming and the like. It's really easy to say of just like, man, I'm terrible at this. I should stop and find something that I'm actually good at and stop wasting my time. But I felt the exact same way about drawing. a long time ago. And I just remember those feelings, and it reminds me of the idea of, one, I'm not actually as bad as I think I am, and two, you know what, so what if I am kind of bad right now? I won't be forever. As long as I keep trying. Something will click in my brain. It always has. And because I have that experience, it's much easier to work through some of the parts of creativity and learning new skills that feels really bad. At least for me. I think a lot of people have a lot of different thoughts about things, but I do think that art slumps due to skill increase is pretty universal. I have seen so many people complain about it. But you know what? It's really nice to know that at some point it'll go away. I don't know how long it'll take, but it'll go away. And I do actually think I can believe in that. I'm not sure if I like this shape. So some of this is gotta be based on shadows from this big, the frills going over her shoulder, and I'm not sure if I like the way those look right now either. So it might be time to draw those before I finish off the arm, actually. I think this looks good enough for now. It's pretty refined. I still do have to put lines around it and stuff, but I think it looks alright. Oh, did I never blush her cheeks? I don't think I did. Where's your head? There it is. Yeah, I never did. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Maybe it'll help a little. And then after that, I think I'm gonna try to get both her sleeves here and just work out her shoulders. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that the problem that I'm seeing in her face right now is, if not proportion-based, something wrong with balance. Balance isn't always proportions. It's kind of... It's basically proportion. But, I don't know. Something about it just feels a little lopsided. I think that's a good way to put it. So I probably tweaked something a little bit too strongly, like maybe the mouth is a bit too wide open, or the top of her head is a bit too wide. I did correct that several times, for example, like maybe this ear is too big. Stuff like that. I might do a little bit of experimenting with it, but let's get the blush on there. This is like the one thing that I'm gonna make not a hard line. I do think anime girls look cute with a slight bit of red on their cheek. And I don't want to give that up just because... just because I'm using harder shading. Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to do highlights as well. The absent-mindedness returns. Okay, well, now that I'm here, let's go derp around a bit. Sounds good to me. Back to the earsel. Okay. So you know what? Let's try my theory. Let's make this a little bit narrower. And I'll do it before and after. I think that actually helped a lot, though. Nice. Because if that's all it is, I'm going to be happy. Okay, in that case, where are the hair layers? Okay, so I'm just gonna grab everything on this side. I'll probably have to touch up right through there, but it shouldn't be that bad. I'm gonna move it over just a touch. Just to get the shadow looking correct with the ear again. No, that looks a little skinny, actually. Okay, good to know that trying to move her hair over a little bit made her head look a little skinny. So I think I probably have everything over there pretty okay, if that's the case. Well, that'd be pretty awesome. Okay, so now I just gotta do the little bit of cleanup from everything here. Some new and exciting things peeking through where they shouldn't be. There we go. And I don't think I'm too bothered by the shadow cast by the ear there. I think it's fine for it to be that thick. In that case, I think I'll thicken up the shadow from the ribbon here. Make them match a little better. I don't want this one to get too thick, though, because this ribbon is sitting against her head. There we go. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's a little better. I think that helped. There's still a little bit of the fisheye to it, too, so I probably just overdid it a little. Okay, makes sense to me. Let's go put some highlights in her hair. Or, you know, maybe more accurately see if I like the way highlights look at her hair. Oh yeah, and I squished some things here. Do I need to fix anything? You know, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I just want this to be more of a free strand. Okay. So, highlights. How do I want to do this? It's pointless to do it on the white part because it's a white part. It is literally white. So I'll see how highlights look. It's possible that I won't like it. Sometimes that happens. But you know, that's why we gotta try things. Because right now I'm not digging it. Let's see. I'm actually kind of not. Let me put him a little lower. Okay, and then we'd probably get another set like over here. Maybe some on some of the braids. Or down here. Maybe it'll let me solve my problem with the hair there. I don't know, I still not sure if I like it. Let's see, I'm gonna zoom out entirely. Oh, it's okay. You know, this is where I try some things and see if I can make it work. Because there are some parts that I do kind of like it. Like, I kind of like it here. But if I'm gonna put it here, it has to be up here. It's just the rules, okay? It'll be weird if I don't. But basically, it's telling me that I'm on to something. I'm just not sure what. And, you know, that's kind of important to know before I draw things. And it means that, you know, maybe I shouldn't give up just yet. Because there are a lot of the times when I try something, I look at it and I'm just like, no, 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 no good. But here, it's like I tried it, and I think there's potential. But I just don't have them in the right spot. Okay, this looks good. Indeed, they were just not in the right spot. Just as I said. After a while, you develop an intuition for these things. Stretch. Yeah. I wonder if I should put any on the ear. Alright, ear. You need highlight. How'd I do a highlight in a fuzzy ear? Something like that, I guess. But yeah, I don't like it. I could see a lighter color being useful if I was going for a style that suited it better, but for this, no, I don't think it works. And this is where I lament that I cannot put any on this front bang. No, that's not true, I can't. I can cheat. I forgot. Okay. Okay. I have to remember, you know, this is my universe. Here, I do have the reality warping powers that sometimes my brain seems to think I should have out in the real world. I can magically make things happen. And voila, we have highlights on the front bang. I'm gonna want to put a black line around it anyway, so, you know, this makes sense. I'll just use the stroke. Yes. So that's just a super quick layer style thing, and yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure if this is the right thickness for the liner or anything yet. It doesn't matter. Not yet, at least. It's like I'll deal with it a bit later. But at least now I know that I at least like the idea. And I can already see it common when I'm using Krita layer, stroke layer styles. It's too round around the tips. So I'm gonna have to go over that again on a different layer in order to make them pointy. But I can do that. Maybe that's why it's fun to do art or create fictional universes and stuff like that. Because here, I really can warp reality to whatever I want it to be. I can do whatever I want. There's nothing that can stop me. Aside from maybe my own skill level. I guess the human limitations do come in and get me eventually. I had to add that caveat because I was not able to make the fisheye perspective in this picture, this one specifically, work quite how I was hoping. I ended up having to change a lot of things. But I think I still have it in there moderate. And I'll figure out how to do weird stuff with perspective someday. Just wait. It can't elude me forever. Not as long as I keep bashing my head against that brick wall. I've got to break it eventually. Alright, so I'm just gonna smooth out some highlights. Yeah, I guess my Nemesis really is returning today. Arms and just a copious amounts of frustration with the world. Heck yeah. Okay, you know, honestly, just kind of rambling to myself like this, it kind of helps me work through it. Sometimes I actually can kind of believe that everything will be okay, and you know what, this stroke is making it really hard for me to see things properly. So what I'm gonna do instead, I'm gonna bust out the hot pink, and I'm gonna make all the highlights hot pink, and then once I'm happy with how smooth they are, I'll turn the stroke back on, and then I can turn everything white again, and then I can make the stroke pointy. But working with the stroke right now is impossible. Because I can't tell if things are blobby because of the stroke or because I'm drawing it badly. And this was one area where it was, I could tell mostly the stroke, but there was just a couple of areas that I was worried about their relative state of pointiness. So we're breaking out the hot pink. So much easier to see now. Oh man. Stroke is great, but is it terrible to draw with sometimes? Let's see. I kind of want to make sure that the highlights follow the shape of the hair as well. Very important. And I think that it should look fine with the stroke on it, because I do put black strokes around the eye highlights too. I mean, they're not the same kind of perfect stroke, but it's a similar idea. Like, I drew it by hand instead of with the tool. But it's the same idea. Okay. So now I just gotta get all the rest of my little shapes in. And then I can just finish it all. But you know, it's more anime here, so it is what it is, and it'll take a little while for me to get it the way I want it. Dude, that's why I was so excited when I finally found a way to do hair that took me like 5 minutes, and I didn't think it looked terrible. I thought it looked pretty okay. Like, it was clearly a doodle. It was not finished. But it wasn't, like, distractingly bad. And that was a revelation. That's gonna take me far. Properly finished anime hair, it's still gonna take forever. And what I was going for there is not a replacement. But it is one step closer to doodles I can enjoy, instead of looking at it with just immense regret. Or like I'm somehow insulting my poor creation because I didn't spend enough time on it. I do feel bad for certain pictures sometimes. It's true. Also ridiculous, but true. I think it's pretty pointless just to tell myself to get over it. I don't think I'll ever get over it. But I do think it's possible to compromise. And get something that I think is okay. I think okay is very generous when we're talking about doodling. I don't even think doodles have to be okay. They just have to... They're just a very quick way to convey an idea, and my hesitation with them is just my own mental hangups. The brain being absurd. It is what it is. Okay, so there we go. I think I'll finish off the top ones real quick. So that will take me over here. Let's see, how do I want to handle this? Because it needs to follow the flow of the hair. I think I'll just do it like this. There'll be a little bit less highlight here because it's underneath. It's underneath a bunch of other hair. So I think this kind of shape will work. And then I can emphasize the highlights a little bit better over here. And why is her hair broken? No, not gonna let that happen. I refuse. I worked too hard in this hair to let something like that just look ugly. Okay. And it wasn't that much work to fix, so, you know, all is well. But yeah, you can see the kind of thoughts that creep into my head every time I try to doodle something. I'm just like, no, I don't want to leave it ugly. I don't want to leave it like that. No. No, I did not capture the lovely sheer fabric. No. I laugh, but it's a little upsetting. It is. I do find it a little upsetting. Times like this, and I'm just like, God, I'm so glad that I just really ended up enjoying making full images. Because I hear a lot of people when they talk about art that they just like doing the doodles and stuff, and I have been perpetually unable to do them for a long time, pretty much since I ever started drawing. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't need to, because otherwise I would have never stuck with art. I would have never stuck with it long enough to get good. So, you know, I'm glad it worked out, and that I found other ways to have fun instead. I also kind of wonder how I'd be if I learned to draw in the era of AI. Or if because, the reason I learned to draw was because I wanted to draw my characters. I wanted to draw my OCs. And what I did before was I'd go onto, you know, Google image boards and just any place I could find images. And I'd find one that was close to what I had in mind. And then I'd change any colors I needed to and stuff like that. And gradually my skills increased to the point where I could start editing the head of one onto the body of another so I could be more particular about their clothes and other features. And so I could think about that, and I could even do some pretty interesting pseudo drawing, I guess, where I could maybe edit a bit of clothes well enough that it looked like the original image. Like if one character was wearing shorts, but I wanted her to be wearing pants, I could turn the pants into shorts, or the shorts into pants rather. Yeah, and stuff like that. And then I was like, you know, it's kind of a pain to find images, and it might be, and I can't really find one that looks like this character. In this character's case, she was kind of a butch lesbian, which is hard to find in anime because she was pretty big. And they don't normally, you don't normally find characters like that unless they're like super duper muscular or like 10 times as fat as she was supposed to be. And so I started trying to take drawing it myself a little bit more seriously. And I mean, I was trying to learn before then. But that's kind of what made it stronger. That I wanted to, I don't know. That basically, it was getting harder and harder to find ways to collage and photo bash my way through my ideas. And as such, I decided, you know, maybe it's time to just do it myself. And given what I know of AI generation right now, I'm wondering, would I've learned how to draw? Would I have just tried really hard to make images of my OCs with an AI generator instead? Like, would I have been satisfied? It's kind of interesting to think about. Because it's like I can tell you that now I know AI does not let me do what I want to do. But would that have been true all that time ago? Would it have been close enough that I never would have felt the need to do this? And I think it could be easy to get caught up in the idea and feel a little bit sad that this tool that exists now, if I had used it, would I even be doing something that has been pretty important to me for a while? But I think when it comes down to it, if I decided not to learn how to draw because the AI let me do everything that I wanted to do, I probably would have learned a different skill instead. It's not like I would have just suddenly stopped doing stuff. I mean, that's never gonna happen. So I think I just, would have ended up doing something else, and I also think it's entirely possible, just from the limitations that I've seen from AI generators, that I still would have learned how to draw. Because, I don't know, I feel like it operates kind of similarly, in that it can really only give you an approximation. And I was getting a pretty decent approximation from my collages. And frankly, with the advent of gacha games and the like, and just games that have tons and tons of characters, a lot of the time I don't even have to collage them anymore to get something that's a pretty close approximate. But it's kind of interesting to think about. I've heard a lot of artists just feeling a little bit sad at the idea that, if they had used this technology, would they have even learned how to draw, or would they have just done that instead? But I'm kind of the opinion that it didn't matter because it wouldn't change my nature. As long as I was still who I am, which I very much think would be true. If it wasn't drawing that I learned how to do, it'd be something else. I mean, you have to remember that I actually learned programming and did pretty well with that long before I got good at drawing. Drawing was actually relatively recent for me. Before then, it was just kind of a idle hobby. So, if it wasn't this, it'd be something else. Incidentally, this is also why I'm not really super bothered by a lot of AI generation stuff, because, the people that are going to use them were the people that, or rather, they're either going to use them to aid in their own creativity, or they were the type to misuse them and be useless and lazy even without them. And they'd find a different way to be useless and lazy. The AI has not changed the nature of mankind, nor will it ever. Unless it kills us all. Then maybe it will, because we won't exist anymore. So who knows? But I've seen some people do some kind of interesting stuff with it in regards to, like, game development and the like, where they could just put in some stuff where a loose approximation is fine. I don't think it's reasonable to expect every 16-year-old living with their parents and finishing high school to learn how to draw immediately to fulfill their visions, or hire someone when they have no income, and they just want to make a nice little equivalent of a Flash game. Like, it's fine. Alright, yeah, I like the little highlights. I think the stroke is a little thick, though. Let's make that a little thinner. Sometimes I do think about, all the other stuff that I could have potentially done. Sometimes I can feel a little bit sad about it, and that I didn't do that, but I think when it comes down to it, no matter what path you pick, you're gonna end up somewhere. And if you don't like where you're going, you can pick a different one. And if you're pretty okay with where you're going, you'll probably end up somewhere okay. I think there are a lot fewer incorrect answers than people think. You just gotta pick one and go. And the nice thing is, a year feels like a pretty long time, and it is a long time. Sometimes it's longer than you think, and sometimes it's not as long as you think. So sometimes when I think of, okay, I need like a year to get good, and sometimes that kills my soul. But then I remember, you know, maybe a year isn't that long. I can get a lot done in a year. And then there's sometimes when a year feels like not enough time at all. It's just like, oh man, it's gonna take years to actually get good at this. But, you know, that time will go by more quickly than I give it credit for. It's happened a few times. A lot can change in a year. If it's one thing that I have learned from having kids, is that a lot can change in a year. It's like, my god. Watching a baby going from a newborn infant to a 1-year-old, the difference is huge. I mean, like, my daughter knew how to walk by that point. And when they're first born, they really can't do anything. Like, I remember when she was first born, we had trouble getting her to eat. And we were really worried about that. And then, you know, by the time she was... Oh man, she must have been like 6 months old or something. And she was up using the walls to help her walk around. Wild, man. It's really hard not to let my impatience get the better of me. Really, really hard. It actually has been pretty hard. Because, I mean, I've mentioned before that I've been having a pretty hard time getting started with writing, and sometimes I look at what I wrote today and I'm just like, man, if I take this long to do everything, I'm never gonna finish the story. Never. Like, it will never happen. And you know what? I am entirely correct. If I take this long to do everything, I will legitimately never finish the story. But that doesn't mean it's gonna take me this long to do that forever. Even it'll get easier. That's the nature of being organic, is that as we use our body and abilities more often, things do get easier. As opposed to machines where they wear down. When the organic does it, it gets stronger. So, you know, as you work out your muscles more and you go lift weights, your body gets stronger so you can lift more weight. It's the same thing with all these mental exercises too, so... You know, I just gotta keep going, because I know eventually it'll get easier. And then as it gets easier, hopefully I can write it faster. So right now I just gotta believe. It's hard to believe sometimes. It's really hard to believe sometimes. there are people out there that just trust themselves with no reservations, and I am just so jealous. That's alright. I'll believe. I just saw the first sign that my beliefs were not misplaced today, so. Gotta make things happen. Despite annoying human limitations. Heck yeah. Man, strokes really do just show you every tiny mistake you made. Some of the little things that didn't really matter before just suddenly show themselves. So we get like a little bit of pixel dirt there, for example. This wasn't really a thing until I put the strokes on. That's okay. It's probably easier than going through and lining it all myself. I just wanted it to all be a little pointier. As I said, no curves allowed here. They are forbidden. Completely verboten. So I just gotta kind of work that out. They do look way too curved even when I zoom out, so... That's why I think it's worth to go in and add all of these tiny little points to them. Alright, I'm almost there. And this will be the end of hair. And then we can return to the Nemesis and work on her shoulders. It'll be great. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed all of my creativity-based existential dread today, because I feel 100 times better. So, thank you for listening. See, this is also why I say that the key to making yourself feel better isn't like all this faux positivity where you're never allowed to say anything bad. It's where you say all the bad stuff, and then you're like, yeah, I think I can do it anyway. Cool, let's go. Embrace the existential dread. It'll make you feel better. Remember that this is a nice little rock that'll eventually be vaporized in a supernova. And it's okay. Everything you do is still worth it. Okay, let's go do her shoulders. Okay, so for that, I'm gonna get rid of her head, and what the heck is that? Man, I really messed around with things, huh? Okay. Well, that's a liquefy monstrosity. Let's get that out of there. And I'll try to more gently guide this to where it needs to go. Like here, I actually think that, okay, well, we're gonna do some more liquefy monstrosities. It's not exactly pointing right toward us. It's at a slight angle. So I want to sell that effect a little bit more. I think that's been one of my issues with this for a while. Pull this part out. I'm just gonna hide the trim. Okay, I lied. I'm not gonna hide the trim because I kind of need it to see where things are relative to each other. Okay. That's fine. Okay. So there we go. I think that's wrapping around her a little bit better. Let's get the shapes of the frills here now. Okay, and then whatever this thing is, I'm getting rid of it. Okay. Where's her neck and all this? Because I should know that. Okay, hands are in the way. So, I'm gonna make him go bye-bye. For just a little bit. Okay, where's the ribbon? Here's the ribbon. So, what I got here... What kind of ribbon is that? That's this. It's a normal ribbon. We're gonna separate the tails a little bit. I think I have a habit of putting them next to each other. Oh yeah, I've been thinking a lot about my habits lately. In terms of art. One of them is that I put ribbon tails together and then I always have to fix it later and it's annoying. These are just all, you know, little things that I do that I end up having to go and fix later because they're wrong, but I keep doing them for some reason. It's terrible. And the other big one is that I make faces too long. So I think if I pay a little bit more attention, if I pay just a little bit more attention to how I'm drawing things, then I can save myself some time from having to fix it all in the end. So, I'm gonna work on that. And apparently one of my habits is that I keep putting ribbon tails next to each other. So that's the second one that I've identified. First, faces. I keep making them too long. Second, ribbon tails. I keep putting them together when there should be a little gap between them and the little square bit here. Okay. I'm just gonna redraw all of that. So her neck is gonna be like somewhere here or something. Kinda coming out right about there. I'm not sure what that layer is, but it's oh, it's a piece of ribbon. Like, but it's in the way. Are you a piece of ribbon? Okay, no, you're some residue from the arm. Let's go get that. There we go. So let's see, is her... Yep, her head is indeed going on that neck. Not quite in the right spot, though, actually. Fascinating. Because, yeah, with where I put the neck, it should be sitting right about here. I mean, I wasn't exactly super precise on where that was gonna go, of course. But I should listen to it a little if I felt like it was that wrong. Okay, let's get the other little frilly part there. So what we got... Let's see. Yeah, I gotta figure out some of this before I can sensibly get that on there. So we got the apron kind of coming down here. I'm gonna hide the ribbon for a sec. Down into her chest. So this is gonna be kind of like this right here. Okay, and then we got black part there. And then the frills will come out of here. And the way they curve, if I get my little sushi roll here, arm is going this way. Actually, I can't use that quite like this, can I? But if this side is coming towards us, then this side will be going away from us. And that means this way, right? I want to think about this explicitly. Yes. Okay. So if it's going to be going like this, let's get the general shape here. Kind of slides down, and it'll connect like that. Okay, I can do that. Let's make it frilly. Okay, and I'll go ahead and fill it all in. We're not going to mind the trim for now. It's okay. It's all good. I want it to be a little bit flatter. Like, it'll still look frilly. But I think it's all sticking out too much. Okay, let's start turning layers back on. How does this feel? I don't know, I think I still want the head to be a little higher up. Or do I want it to be even lower? Yep. She's just gonna casually hold on to her head like that. No. I think this is okay, actually. We're just really gonna bring that down. Okay, I think I like this. Maybe I did have her head a little too high. I don't know, I think this might be a little bit too low. It's hard to say. Truly the Rubik's Cube. No, I think that looks fine. Wonder if I can make her head a little bigger. Without it just driving me crazy. Let me see, I have some transparency masks, I can tell. And if I'm making it a little bit bigger, no, they have to move with it. Okay. There we go. Hopefully I can do this without messing with everything. Without having to re-smooth literally everything. Oh god, I'm gonna be so sad if I have to. Okay, no, everything still looks pretty crisp. Okay, that's good. What are you? Are you a piece of hair? Are you a piece of ribbon? What the heck are you? Did I not unlock a transparency mask? Okay, I gotta go through all of the layers and figure out what the heck that is. Okay, not hair. Not ribbon. Ear. Okay, you're a piece of ear. Oh, why did you get all messed up? I let your transparency mask move. Oh, shoot. Didn't mess up anything else, did it? Yeah, it totally did. Well, that's unfortunate. I thought that if I moved them all together, it'd be fine. But no, all of them are messed up. Life is hard. Okay, well, nothing to do other than fix it. All I can do. And maybe sigh. I guess I can sigh. That's fine. It's like I always tell my son when he's sad that he has to sit in the toilet. It's okay. You can be sad on the toilet. I can be sad while fixing it. Nothing wrong with having feelings. Okay, so now over here, where is my headwear? Blacklist all that, and whitelist everything else. Actually, let's use the selection to help me out. Alright. Where's the head? So, on the hair transparency layer, we blacklist everything here. And looks like that's about all I gotta do. So that one was easy at least. Is there anything else I gotta care about? Is her head too big now? It might be. I don't really want to be transforming it too much. If it's a little bit big, I mean, I'm not going to touch it anymore today. If it's a little bit big, I'll make her body a little bit bigger. And I'm okay with this because I want things to take up more of the screen anyway, if I can. So, yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to keep going. I think her shoulders are looking much better now. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish off the arms and I'm going to kill my Nemesis and they'll be done and it'll feel fantastic. So let's do it. Portions, man. Why? Look, there are so many things out there that do not feel like they should be as hard as they are. But here we are. Anyway, once again, I'm not going to attempt... I'm not even going to attempt to draw a straight line for this. I am just going to... Okay, this side I have to, though. But I'm just going to use the line tool. Not hate myself. It's a good way to be. I like loving myself. It is a good way to be. Okay, and then I'll just go and fix the armpit here. But that's about all I want to do with that, so... I'm also considering giving her, like, a little... Yeah, I could do that here. A little red on the shoulder. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this, but I will give it a try. This is a pure science. Actually, it's kind of cute, isn't it? Okay, let's do it. Okay. One arm down. And it's the harder of the two, so that's nice. And here, I think the sleeve looks like it's being pulled enough. It'll be more convincing after I render it. But I see the idea in my head. I can touch it with my hand. It is illusory, of course, but what are artists if not illusionists? Just as much as any magician. I will make you believe that this picture is real. It's just an arrangement of pixels on the screen. Pretty crazy. Okay, and there is arm number 2, and I think it looks fine. What are you? Oh, seriously, what are you? Are you a hand? Where is the hand? You are a hand. Okay. I don't want you staying like that, but let's make you look nice. There we go. Okay, and you know, with that, I think I could be pretty happy with progress for today. I'm gonna keep going, but I don't know. Sounds like I figured out a lot of things, and I got a lot of the noise that's been sitting in my brain off my chest, so I feel pretty awesome, actually. I might do some more writing after this. I might end up having to wait until dinner, though, because I imagine my daughter's gonna want to go to the park when I pick her from school. We'll see if there's any kids there. Nothing has gotten me to go outside more often than having a small child that wants to go outside. Nothing! I have always been the type that just prefers to stay inside. I don't really like it outside. There are people there and it's scary. But man, does she love it, and she even likes the people. Like, being people there is like a pro to her. Like, that's a good thing. And it's baffling to me sometimes. Honestly, I kind of hope she can always stay that way, because I think it'll make her life a lot easier. When it comes down to it, no matter how much I want to warp reality to be otherwise, we live in a society. I know, terrifying facts here, but we live in a society, and pretty much every facet of life requires other people. But more than that, I actually do think that a lot of human growth comes from interacting with other people. So, I've been trying to be less afraid of it. Doesn't mean I have to like everyone or hang out with everyone, but I can't really just stay in my cozy little art cave forever. I gotta venture outside. And as much as I say that I really enjoy the rock that I live under, and I do, I think I spend too much time there. And it probably is limiting what I can do. So, I actually would like to reach out more, so that's why I say, as terrified as I am that my daughter appears to be an extrovert, I think it's probably for the best. I think if she can keep that and just the optimism that everyone is her friend and a lot of that kind of usual childhood stuff, that she'll have an easier time in life than I did. And I like that idea. It's funny, because I always had so much nerd energy, so I actually liked going to school. for a while, and it wasn't really until end of middle school that I started hating it. But before then, I had a pretty good time. But I was less big on the people, whereas she's like the opposite, in that for her, being able to see her friends is like the only reason to go to school. It's cute. She's so cute. Sometimes it can be hard to get her to come home because she wants to talk to her friends. And the teacher has to call her a couple of times before she comes out, because she doesn't want to stop talking to her friends. I love her. She's fantastic. I don't know how I want to handle this. Okay, I need to cut off her head again. Let's see where these frills go. We'll get them all a little bit more correct here. I'm not going to keep it like 1-to-1 though, because I think I can make it a little bit better than what I had before. So I'm just going to kind of repeat some of these little square shapes and go from there. And I think the head is covering most of that. We'll just let some things disappear. There might be some more showing. I'm going to go focus on this side again. Then I'll worry about all the stuff that the head is covering. Okay. You know, I'll be really happy if I can actually get a lot of this apron and stuff done today, too. I still have, like, 45 minutes, man. I feel like I've, been able to get a fair amount done in that time. I guess this is what happens when I'm not really paying attention to the time, and I'm just, rambling about my own personal dread. This is why I've been reading books about philosophy lately. I want to clarify some thoughts in my mind and get a better understanding of what I believe. It's weird to think about, but I went through a situation where I just kind of felt like I was heavily gaslit to the point that I couldn't trust my own judgment anymore, and it totally wrecked my perception of everything, and I've been trying to get it back. And it's working. It does take a lot of deliberate effort, but I'm getting there. I can now look at things and being like, man, I disagree with that. Even if it's kind of convincing. Or, you know, just the recognizing as things for as unhinged as they are, even though it's said in a nice way and that kind of thing. Life is rough, man. There's people out there that have a vested interest in make it so you can't trust yourself. It's terrible. Like, is it any wonder that I am perhaps slightly afraid of people sometimes? They're scary. I like the idea that I'm going for with this, but I'm not sure how to make it work. I don't know. I'm gonna think about this a little hard. Let's go back. So basically, I have this kind of curving like that. So maybe what I actually want is something like this. Or we're just gonna erase a bunch of stuff that I just cleaned up. It's fine. It'll be for the best. And I'm just gonna check it all zoomed out like this. Because what I think what I want is I want this to kind of come back here. And I want some frills like this. Because now the angle is different than it used to be. And that's important. Yes, but better. But I can make it better. I'm just gonna have to kind of think about some stuff. And you know, it's not bad because this thing has been liquefied to death. It has gone through so much morphing. It's incredible. So we just gotta let it find, you know, what it actually believes to. And it shouldn't listen to anyone else. There we go. Like, this is all, yeah, this is all from the same thing. What are you? A good question. Okay, so I am declaring that the frills go into the armpit, but I don't actually think that's true. Where's my Bibi drawing? Yeah, they don't go into the armpit. They just sit on top. So that would mean that they probably stop around here. And then I think this frill is fake. And this one needs to come down. Okay. We're just resketching everything. It's okay. I'll fix it. I'll fix every problem I have with everything. It is my duty. Okay, I think I'll leave that there for now. I think this looks fine, but I'll leave it there for now. And you know what? Let's go do this ribbon. So I'm kind of venturing into the sea of what the hell is going on. Because I only kind of half understand everything that's going on in the torso here. I think it is fine. I think it looks correct. If only because I could probably put anything there and it would look correct. Not entirely true, but I actually do think it's okay. And not even in the sarcastic way. Oh god, that apron. I can't turn it off though, can I? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna invert the colors on it. Maybe that'll help me. No, not really. Okay, I gotta go for a different idea then. I'm gonna take a layer and I am going to fill it with blue. Okay, maybe not blue. Let's pick a color that doesn't vibrate against everything so much. How about gray? Okay, I can work with this. Oh, wrong layer. So we're gonna fill it in with gray so that this way I can see where everything is supposed to go here without it just kind of fading into the apron. And while I do want it to do that and it's intentional, dear Lord, I will never be able to figure things out if I do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to kind of get things in relatively the right spot, relatively smooth. And then I'm going to turn her head on. And then once her head is on, that'll be when I fully, correctly smooth everything. I'm going to assume that my proportions are relatively correct because otherwise I will never get anything done. And I will adjust them a little bit as I need to. Because, yeah, I was looking in that sea of just white and black, and I could not make out where I needed to put all my shadows on my ribbon. So, you know, it is what it is. Gotta do this. And I have done this so many times. Several times even just today. That it is not so bad anymore. Isn't that what practice is all about? The things that used to mystify me are becoming easier. Okay, now I think I can turn her head back on, and this will tell me the areas that I need to smooth and which ones I can just ignore entirely. So I'm gonna plop all this in shadow. Okay, so here we go. Let's go smooth it. But I had to work underneath there in order to make sure everything was the right shape and size and all that. But now I can make it look nice. Okay. Yeah, it's no problem. I'm gonna kind of clean up the edge here. I do like it going underneath the spoon, so I'm gonna keep that shape, and I'm gonna make sure that enough of it goes underneath the spoon that I can put a black line around it. Oh yeah, I guess with how I changed the hair, it doesn't go underneath the spoon anymore. That's a little sad. Okay. Just gotta smooth all of it. Make sure it is to my liking with no blobs at all. And then from there, I can actually put the black parts on. So I want a big, thick one under the head. Same with over here. So it does mean that we do not see very much of this ribbon at all, but that's okay. That's totally fine. Expected. Okay. So the good news is that some of these parts with like the apron and whatnot, I don't actually feel like I have to get the sleeves before I can do everything else. So we'll see if I want to try to work on frills or if I'd rather do something else. A lot of the remaining parts are stuff that I can do separately. Or maybe I'll just go casually work on the shape. Because I have her arms in a good spot now. So I'll know which areas are covered. You know what? That sounds pretty good. I want to do the shape. Okay, let's get rid of this thing. I still think her head looks big. You know what? It's bothering me. I'm gonna make her body a little bigger. Okay, this does mean I have to unlock all of my transparency layers, which is annoying, but it's all good. No, there actually aren't that many, are there? Okay, cool. Oh, I know I need to get the shape too. Forgot about the shape. Oh, and I have her back hair hidden right now. I should turn that on at some point. I don't think I need to do it now. It's fine. There's her body. There it is. So I'm going to make it just a little bigger. I'm not worried about some things falling off the screen. I will fix that once I'm a little bit happier with her proportions. Normally I like to have this done before or now, but, you know, these things happen. It's fine. You know, I probably shouldn't have put in the head shadows until I was a little more confident in the placement of the head. Well, that's fine too. I'm gonna be very particular. Because I don't want to have to adjust it again. Because every time I adjust it, I have to worry about things getting blurry and having to re-render everything, and I just don't want to do that. I really don't. I'd rather avoid it if I can. And so I'm a little bit terrified. Perhaps a little bit more than a little bit. I'm very terrified. This is where I said the head should be before. Do I agree with myself from 5 minutes ago? That's a good question. That's a very good question. I'm just gonna stare at her face and move her body around until I feel like it matches. The sizing feels alright, though. Okay, I'm gonna put it there. I'm still scared. I'm still not sure if this is right. But I'll put it there. Stretch. Let's go work on the shape. The shape is pretty harmless. Okay. I'm gonna leave all my layers on for now, but I might need to hide some things while I straighten all this out. You know what? I should just use the line tool and make my life easy. Okay. So this was taken from her cute little biscuit bag. That was the idea behind using this shape for her. Why are you not? Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Dang nabbit. I hate it when I do that. Okay. Let's try that again. So the main goal here is to straighten out the lines I already have. Because, you know, curves. Still forbidden. Entirely. So I need to turn them all into something straighter. But I don't actually think it'll be that bad. I'd also like to get the shape a little bit more consistent and a little bit less distorted looking. Because right now I do think it feels a little bit distorted. I mean, makes sense. I did distort it in order to get it like this. So yeah, of course it feels a little bit distorted. It's only natural. But I do want to try to work some of that out. And then I need to clean up all this dirt. Like I see a little bit here, for example. That's important because this image is going to be transparent. So I don't want anything existing outside. Anything that is cluttering up the edges will look really, really bad. Way worse than you would expect. So I actually got to go find that layer. Once I finish cleaning up some of the black part here, I am going to go do that. Okay, let's do that right now. Hands. It was from the hands. Fascinating. You know, I actually wouldn't have guessed that. I thought it was going to be in the apron, and I was getting nervous as I was going through each layer, and I'm just like, oh god, am I going to be able to hide the apron? But, didn't need to worry about it. Life is good. So this is where things are going to get interesting, because the shape is going to change a lot, so that I can get rid of some of that distortion. You'll be able to see how strong that distortion was as I start cutting it away and getting everything closer to the same width. And it's going to require a little bit of straightening out afterward. But that's fine. I can do that, as always. Okay. And I'll clean up all of this before I go and do the other side. Because this is going to be the basis for a lot of the rest, and I'm realizing that I think I want the shape to continue over here. Yes, yes I do. It will require a lot of smoothing, but such is life. Oh, I did it again. Okay, I'm still kinda not a fan of this, though. Yeah. Okay, this is gonna require some sketching to fix out. This is actually proving to be a bit more difficult than I expected. Just because the shape did get really, really distorted as I went out here. So, let's fix it. It'll be okay. I can fix it. It's just going to be a little chopped up and in pieces for a little bit, but you know what? In order to make a steak delicious, you gotta chop it into pieces. Yes. Eating a whole cow would not be very delicious. So, you know, it's fine. Okay. So like I said, I'm just kind of sketching it out until I get a shape I like, and this is still angled very strangely. Let's draw it from out here. Man, I didn't expect this one to be such an adventure. Otherwise, I would have duplicated my layer. Just in case I messed it up. Okay, there we go. That feels a little bit more in perspective. As much as there is perspective here, I guess. So I'm just gonna casually run all through this again until I eventually get a shape I like. And I think something like that should be okay. I'm a little sad because it really did look better before. I might just do it again. Like, I can't go back to what I had, but I did keep an unedited shape here. And I do hate this enough that I think I'm just going to do that, actually. Oh no. No way am I doing that one. We're going to make a copy. There we go. This time, I will be able to duplicate the layer and make sure I actually like what I get. So, I don't feel the need to perfectly line it up with what I have, but I do think it should be close. You know, reasonably close. I guess right about here is fine. This is pretty close. Gotta make it a little smaller, I think. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty close. So, you know what? I'm gonna have to think about this one. I think I might just save it for next time. So there's about 20 minutes left, but I think this is a good stopping point. Let's go ahead and get everything back on screen. So we'll take the cake, we'll take the Bibi, we'll take the shape, and I'll just lift her up here. There we go. So now everything's back on screen. I'll push it a little further to the left here, and there we go. I still think her head might be a little big, by the way. Proportions are hard. But do I want to sit on it, or do I want to try to make her body a little bigger? I'm gonna make her. I'm gonna try again. Okay, so we're gonna take the cake, we're gonna take her hand. I guess I'll take the shape too. And I'm gonna make it a little bigger. Oh, I didn't get her body. Okay, body. Shape. Hand. Cake. Be larger. Oh man, I'm so nervous. Alright, like I said, I'm kind of glad that she's gonna feel a little bit more of the space now. Because that tends to look a little bit better than having it take up a small amount of space. But proportions are hard, and I am afraid of messing it up enough that I have to go back and smooth things out again. But I think this is good. Let's go take everything and push her up again. So I have Bibi. Let's get the shape. I'll adjust that frill so it doesn't hit the edge next time. But there we go. I think her head's feeling a little better now. Is it though? Let's find out. What did it look like before? And after? And before? And after? Yes. Okay, this is better. Like I said, I'm scared. And, okay, so next time I think I'd like to work out the shape. I think that's going to be the first thing I do. And then it'll be the apron. The upper part of the apron here, mostly in the shoulder frills and whatnot here. That'll be next. But after that, that's like basically everything. Like everything in here, I think half of this is just going to be filled in with black. And then the other half is going to be me figuring out how the hell I show the rest of this when most everything has to be filled in with black. There we go. And then, you know, this part, this is going to be easy. This is like nothing. So I think we're almost done. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't expect to finish it next time, although I might. 50-50. But I bet it'll be done the time after that. So, you know, I guess I'll reveal who's going to be next since it's coming up so soon. It's going to be Nitya Nil. So she's going to be the next one I do. Once Bibi is done here. And I find it highly likely that I'll be starting her next week. Extremely. But we'll see how it all goes. But this is where I will stop for today. So, thank you all for coming. And I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow.